Thank you to the board for having me in tonight to go over the results of a project we've been discussing for quite some time, the replacement of our salt storage facility, which also has a component of water quality improvement in the form of a truck washout associated with it. We put out bids for the construction of a new facility to replace the one you see on the first slide of the presentation here back in the end of November and received bids on December 10th. And we're going to go over the results of those bids tonight as they relate to previously discussed estimates for cost and then the other items related to the need of doing this project at this time. So start off with just kind of a baseline of facts relating to why this project is here now, why it's being discussed. We've had a structural engineering review of the existing salt barn, which indicates that doing additional repairs to the existing salt barn would be cost prohibitive, and that the functional operation of the building beyond this season, this winter, is questionable at best. The current salt barn only holds approximately half of our annual salt usage. This is mostly because the facility was built 41 years ago when our town was much smaller. Webster's grown a great deal. Since 1984, when the existing building was built originally, so our salt usage is higher. So we want to try to be closer to that annual usage amount so that we don't have to rely on deliveries during the winter like we do currently. That relates to the next item, the salt shortages. They are expected again this year. I actually just saw, I was on an email chain with other Monroe County highway superintendents this afternoon where they were discussing if anybody had seen any issues yet. And this week was the first time when there was 2 towns that indicated they had not received their deliveries within a week of ordering, which is the requirement in New York State OGS. So this was kind of the first week where a couple of folks had indicated slower deliveries than normal. So unfortunately, it seems like, at least in the near future here, these shortages are going to become more of a reality. And when we have those shortages and not enough room for storage on site, it creates a significant threat to driver safety if we can't treat the roads. Pushing this project down the road, revising the scope will have additional expense, additional effort needed on the engineering side, and having a smaller scope of work also decreases some of the efficiency that we get with a slightly larger project like we have it currently. Completing this project after there is a more significant structural failure than we have now not only threatens the safety of the residents and the staff that would be working around the facility, but it also would have to be done under emergency procedures. And anytime you do construction under emergency situations or conditions, your costs are higher. You're pulling in contractors that are already at work. Therefore, the premiums that they charge to come on an emergency basis are much more in the short term. So those are just some of the key factors related to why we're discussing this now. So related to the salt shortages, this photo was from last winter. This is the current salt barn, and there is not enough salt in that pile to do another salt run that covers the entire town. So this was as low as we got. This is the smallest amount that we had. We usually want to have 10 times this amount minimum to be comfortable. But last year we did get down. We had a week where we were down to not enough. Luckily, the next day after this, loads did come, and we were able to replenish the stock and never run out and never have a lapse in service. But it did get pretty low. If you've seen the barn, this is a very small pile. Within that, usually it's stacked, all the way to the top of the picture, and at least double that distance out the building. So getting right into cost savings that we have tried to attain on the project. These were presented earlier. Once we got bids, we were able to look at some value engineering items. So the list of items that's provided by the general contractor is the 8 items you see there. And then some of those items we're currently recommending to take as cost savings. Rock allowance, that's would be rock in the ground that needs to be dug out. We carry a certain amount for that because you can't see it; it's beneath the ground. But all of our geotechnic information that we've received doesn't indicate that there is any. So we're hoping to not that won't be expended. They did offer. So these are all decreased values that they offer as value engineering. They also offered that if they didn't have to do the performance bond, there'd be a reduction. If there wasn't some additional insurances, there'd be a reduction. We're not recommending to take those. We want them to keep the bonding and the insurances that are required. Removal of winter conditions. So this is just a scheduling item. If they have to construct portions of the building during the winter months, there's cost associated with constructing during the winter, mostly protecting the concrete and things of that nature. If we were able to manage the project in a way that they didn't have to do some of the critical parts in the coldest winter months, wait till the weather is a little bit better, there's a credit for that. We think we can take advantage of that based on the current timing of the project from possibly today to when they would start. Changing to a shingle roof from a metal roof was a cost savings, which is a little surprising given the situation, but the metal roof really offers the best durability, so we weren't going to take that credit. Changing the building fascia, I believe there's a certain PVC board recommended right now. If we go with a standard aluminum fascia on a portion of it, there's a $14,000 savings. And then exclude railing paint. There's one of the railings in there that apparently has a special kind of paint on it. It's not in a place where it would receive some kind of special condition that it needs the paint, so we would recommend taking the $5,000 savings and not painting the railing. And then this was the bigger factor. This was the alternate that we had, was to utilize wood push walls, kind of like you see in the picture on the right, on the existing barn instead of concrete walls. At this point, they're offering $170,000 savings for that, but I'm not recommending it at this time because I do think the concrete is a superior, more durable product, and I think on the scale of the project, it will yield a better facility for a longer period of time. I alluded to the picture on the right. This is one of the current wooden push wall supports, one of the tiebacks that's already had to be repaired because of its age and condition. You can see it's kind of piecemealed together there with a new post and then a vertical post that's completely wrapped in new boards to keep it in place. So that's one of the conditions that's out there. Back to the savings. There's a portion of the site work that's primarily paving and earthwork, which is a lot of what we do that we think we can self-perform. There would be a significant savings there by not awarding that site contract, performing it ourselves. We would still have to pay for the materials, so those are factored into the cost, but we think we could save about $530,000 by performing that work ourselves. Given what the scope is, we feel we can do that. There's CHIPS funding from the state that has language in there that allows it to be used for a facility like this, for a storage facility. We get that annually from the state. We currently have enough of a surplus in that coming into 26 where we can utilize those funds to offset some of this per the guidelines of the usage of that money. The next one is one of the more exciting ones. We've now received word from the DEC that we have received a grant for $600,000 toward our project here. Under the basis of the water and quality improvements that having covered salt storage and the truck washout that we're proposing will be. So when you take the totality of all the highlighted items on this page, you come up with a total of a little over $1.5 million in cost savings that we've been able to put together in relation to this project. So given we did just receive the grant, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. It is a water quality improvement grant. The next step that will happen with it would be a grant award contract will be sent. That contract will outline everything that was described in the application, and it will need to be complete. So it'll need to match the application, which includes everything that's in our current contracted scope for these bids. The truck washout is a key component to meeting EPA standards. And I know our application referenced bringing the facility overall into compliance with the EPA standards that we have. It's a pretty special award also because it's only the second one, I believe, in the state for a salt storage replacement facility. Historically, they are only for townships or municipalities that don't have cover over their salt. So they basically have a pile of salt sitting outside. So every time it rains, that salt melts away and goes into the waterways. But more recently, they've given a couple awards. We would be the second. We are now the second to be awarded for a replacement of one of those facilities versus a new facility. This award also emphasizes the importance of the town's continued dedication to our MS4 program, and shows that we are dedicated to leading by example when it comes to capital improvement projects and development. Getting our facilities into compliance with the MS4 and the EPA standards has definitely been a goal for everything. So then just one little note at the bottom that in discussing this grant recently and what are the parameters with it, that there's definitely a factor that failure to utilize awarded grant funds that negatively affects future applications for townships and different things. So wanted to mention that. It's a key component that's come up in our discussions about the grant recently. So now we jump into a budget, which is going to align with our last presentation, where we had a pre-bid estimate outlining the items here: the salt barn, the truck washout, an incidental budget for construction management, things of that nature. The demo was broken out. Paving and utilities is where we want to self-perform the work, and then the construction contingency that we're carrying. So here we see that the bids came in about $350,000 under the last estimate that we brought to the board, so they're slightly less. There's some of the items that have gone up and down, but the net is about $350,000 less, and then we were able to tighten that contingency, resulting in closer to $600,000 less than the estimate that was provided before. So then we factor in the possible cost savings. We had a larger possible cost savings during the estimate. Those items are related to a slightly more aggressive approach to the self-performance. I think that the number we're utilizing for this is a very conservative number. We may even be able to have more savings than we're projecting here by self-performing, but we want to be conservative with that. Worked with Paul Adams to make sure that those numbers were conservative, so that went down slightly. And then some of the value engineering that we had put earlier. We expected the alternate to go to a wood push wall instead of concrete to be a much larger dollar value than it turned out to be at bid time. So those are the factors that caused the current projected cost savings to be less than what we projected before. There's a note there about which VE items were taken in this consideration, which ones weren't. So the net total comes in just about $35,000 less than the estimate we discussed here previously for what we're proposing. So if we look at both phase one and phase two of the overall project, which would be the new highway facility upgrades, we have the total to date for the existing building that's already in place, along with Cliff Jones improvements. Funds that have already been allocated out of either the general fund or ARPA funds to date on that portion of the project. The costs that we have per the bids for the salt barn, the truck wash, the demo, and the paving utilities, along with a construction contingency and an incidental budget to handle any further construction management cost, and then the identified cost savings that we outlined in previous slides, make the net just under $26 million total for the facility upgrades. The approved bond amount for the highway facility upgrades was $28,250,000. So our current estimate would bring us in $2.3 million under that bond approval. So the photo you see here is roughly half of our fleet of 26 trucks currently, all full of salt, sitting in the garage. So this is how they sit, waiting for it to snow, like it just started to when I came in here. And it sounds like they went out. My phone was buzzing, so they're out on the roads right now with these trucks. But we load them, and they're in this facility, and they're able to stay warm and ready to go so that they go out at a moment's notice. So that's what the photo is. Next steps would be to award the bids and complete the upgrades under budget. So questions, comments? This photo here on the last page is also last year. You see some untreated salt We put an additive to our salt that allows it to work better during colder conditions, and it has better adhesion to the road, so it stays on the road longer. It looks like the darker brown in the back after we treat it. So untreated salt way in the back, our treated salt. And on the right-hand side is some salt that came out of Albany last year on emergency contract that must be out of a different part of the world because it comes in untreated looking that color instead of what we get from local sources here.